Yeah, Disney is facing a lot of lawsuits right now for gender discrimination, as well as the Gina Carano wrongful termination lawsuit. And a new one just got filed for anti-white and anti-male discrimination in their hiring practices. This happened because Elon Musk posted some graphics from a Disney employee from the inside giving him this leaked information, and it turned out to be verifiably true because this legal firm called America First Legal has just filed a lawsuit against Disney for that very information. They sent this letter to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission requesting an investigation into Disney's unlawful racial discrimination against white men, Christian men, Jewish men.
Yes, that's the Christian part.
Yes. Okay. They said today America First Legal filed a federal civil rights complaint against the Walt Disney Company and its subsidiaries for violating Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by engaging in illegal race, sex, and national origin discrimination. The law prohibits Disney from using race, color, religion, sex, or national origin merely as a motivating factor for hiring, training, or promotions. But a document on Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow website strongly suggests that race, color, religion, sex, or national origin are often the only motivating factor in Disney's hiring, training, and promotion decisions, and the company is intentionally discriminating against white American men, Christians, and Jews simply because of their race, religion, and citizenship. Yeah. And they cited these images that we covered last week, I believe, from the Disney General Entertainment Content Inclusion Standards. And they did cut out that part at the end that says hiring officials are not allowed to ask potential hires about their identity, but you're just supposed to guess so that you can make sure underrepresented groups get hired to meet certain quotas. But they went and looked at the stats that Disney identified from financial year 2020 to 2021. Because this was a very special year for DEI. After the death of George Floyd, I think you guys would remember a lot of companies made public statements. They pledged to, hire based on racial equity, hire more people to be dedicated specifically to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And now that political climate has quieted down a little bit, and they are losing money as a result of these decisions, they're pulling back, and a lot of those DEI jobs are getting cut, and people aren't allowed to work from home anymore, and they're outsourcing a lot of this work to consultants and contractors. And people are like, what happened? I thought that my useless job was going to exist forever.
That's how I feel about this job, Mary.
So
someday I'm going to lose my job and nobody will shed a tear. It'll be really sad.
It looks like Disney is going to become the next mesothelioma because they tweeted, last week we filed a federal civil rights complaint against Disney. If you've been discriminated against by Disney because of your race or sex, we want to hear from you. Are you a heterosexual white male ineligible for Disney apprenticeships and internships, training opportunities, or skill development opportunities because of your race or sex? Contact us. And I'm sure there are lots of people who could get represented here. I would like to say Elon Musk is not funding this lawsuit, only the one that Gina Carano
His
started.
seemed to be specifically targeted with individuals, not larger scale, what looks like class action suits.
Right. So they posted a thread explaining all of this. From financial year 2020 to 2021, the percentage of Disney's directors that are identified as POCs grew by 6%. In the same year, the percentage of POCs and females as series regulars or leads in their content increased by 4% and 1% respectively. And in the same year, the percentage of writers who were POCs grew by 3%. And the percentage of individuals that was identified by Disney as white dropped by 3.6%. And weirdly enough, the percentage of black individuals also dropped by 0.5%. And they said there was an increase in individuals identified as undisclosed, which might explain some of this. They are wanting to highlight the increase in marginalized groups getting hired and sort of hide the stats that white men are dropping in their workforce so that they can just make it seem like we hired more people instead of replacing people.
Yeah.
We hired more instead of laying people off for being white, straight, and male, which we know is dishonest. It's a dishonest tactic to hide from the government, essentially, that they're engaging in illegal practices. So this is all pictured here on the website. For AF Legal. They also have an illegal grant program that funnels $25,000 to underrepresented directors. And they unlawfully only award grants to women, AAPI, which essentially means Asian, Black, Indigenous, or Native, Latinx, LGBTQIA+, disability identifying, and religiously marginalized individuals. So to explain why they're saying Disney is discriminating against Christians and Jews, it's because those two religious identities are not included in marginalized religious identities.
Yep.
So that essentially means that if you are Christian or Jewish, then you're going to be demoted in hiring practices for Disney. If you're Muslim, though, for instance, you're going to get a priority in the hiring process. And this is expressly illegal. But it's confusing because affirmative action programs have existed for the longest time, especially in universities,
yes,
where you're allowed to disclose all of these identities, and it does give you an advantage in terms of getting admitted to these federally funded institutions. But the argument, again, as I said before, was we're trying to make the system more meritocratic. I think they've expressly abandoned that narrative, and they're openly saying, we just want to replace white men.
Well, remember, the state of California worked very hard to repeal civil rights laws so that they could basically discriminate on behalf of, but saying that it's in order to fix errors of the past, right? We want to be able to discriminate going the other way this time. And here's
it's about retribution against white men,
and
really.
And the macro view, how does a company that's supposed to be running theme parks, which are in a lot of ways entertainment, making movies that are all about entertainment storytelling, expect to be able to tell the best stories by hiring the best actors, writers, and directors, stage performers, and whatnot, if the first thing that they think about are immutable characteristics and not those that are good at their job? I think a lot of it goes back to the muddy nature of like Hollywood hiring to begin with, which is that in a profession that is very, very subjective, what is good art anyways, it's very, very easy to make these types of to make these types of to make this divide real, because they don't have to actually give any reasonable, there's no way in which box office would play into it, because 1,000 things go into a movie doing well or not. Right? And when it comes to storytelling, race and gender can be outright said in the script. So they can say, like, look, sure, it's against the law to hire based on race, but what if the race of the character calls for that? It's just such a gray area, and the subjective nature of art makes it so difficult for people to actually push back on this stuff. The only reason it's coming to blows now is because almost everyone can agree that the art ain't what it used to be.
Yeah, I think they were even arguing the racial demographic splits of Disney content should reflect the population of California, despite the fact that Disney is clearly making content not only for the entirety of this country, but for the globe. It doesn't make sense. And they've become expressly partisan. And if you guys couldn't tell from the name of this legal firm, it's America First Legal. They are also expressly partisan. And it was founded by a former Trump advisor, Stephen Miller. And he added a quote here at the end saying, Disney appears to engage in pervasive, far-reaching, and illegal race and sex discrimination in violation of the Civil Rights Act. We filed a complaint with the EEOC that Disney is engaged in illegal conduct. It's sad and tragic that a company whose name was once synonymous with wholesome and charming childhood fantasies is now dedicated to spreading divisive bigotry. We urge Disney to cease and desist its unlawful and destructive conduct at once. And I highly doubt they're going to listen. But they're definitely keeping the Disney legal team busy with all of this. Not only this, but like Christopher Rufo's recent leak from that Zoom call where Bob Iger admits that J6 convinced him to make Disney into a political weapon for their points of view. And then the Gina Carano lawsuit, which has Elon Musk backing it. And who's to say if he'll get involved in this one too. And then also the gender discrimination lawsuit that's a class action of 9,000 or more current and former female employees of the Disney company that are claiming they were discriminated against for being female. Which goes expressly against the stats that were being shown here, which is that you're prioritized if you're female. So they definitely are being kept busy with all of these papers on their desk.
Yeah, it's and it's not going to change anytime soon. We understand that. Like it's impossible to turn a ship like this around that quickly, if at all. I thought it was funny. So like we've made the joke before that Disney could end up getting sold one day. And
to Elon?
Well, I mean, a lot of people think that, or to Apple. You know, to Apple or Amazon. And certainly right now, the Fox, Warner Brothers, ESPN, like sports package is being investigated by the, to make sure that there isn't some type of problem with a monopoly going on right there. So that's being investigated federally. But also, did you see that Capital One bought Discover?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Great. Like that's for like 60 billion. Or 30 billion or something like that. So
late stage capitalism.
It is. I mean, it is. It's the illusion of choice. So it's not hard to believe that
Yeah.
a company the size of Disney, as big of a behemoth as it may be, could end up losing out to companies like Apple or Amazon, who, let's face it, they don't have to be successful at their entertainment endeavors, because just like Disney subsidizes their movies with the parks, Apple's phones and tech subsidizes all of it.
That's
Just like
true.
Amazon with their 2-day shipping, everybody loves their 2-day shipping, is subsidizing all of it. So I do think that by the end of it, we're in a dystopian reality where it's like, which way, Western man? Apple Films or Amazon Films?
I'm clinging to
Yeah.
Universal Studios because they're actually dedicated to making content.
That's the real sad part about it, is like Universal is like the last good thing we have going in Hollywood, and they don't get nearly the love because people don't like talking about the stuff that's going well. They like talking about the train wrecks, and what's going on at Disney is a bona fide train
But the
wreck.
move right now is, Disney is such a huge conglomerate that we kind of have to dogpile them with as many complaints, as many leaks, as many PR blunders, as many lawsuits as humanly possible until they have to correct course. But the end result might just be that their stock plummets and they become available for purchase by someone who's worse than them. Jeff Bezos. Maybe it'll be Elon Musk, but that would be a crazy twist of events.
I mean, and at some point you can't hitch all your coins to the Elon Musk train. First of all, the guy's spread thin as it is. Did you see that they were showing like the first stages of Neuralink about the guy making
He is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
I still believe like Elon has his moments, but overall he is not to be trusted because of this transhumanist
I'm
agenda.
imagining him like uploading memes into this guy's brain without his permission.
He's just going to be controlling this guy's brain for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah, somebody pointed out Plenty of Fish says Bezos selling a lot of stock. Yeah, he sold like $6 billion or 6 million or so, like $6 billion worth of Amazon stock the other day.
Oh, wow.
Which is not good. So.
Also, I wanted to mention that this same legal firm, America First Legal, is also filing complaints against DEI practices at United Airlines, Kellogg's, Nike, and also organizations like the FBI, the NFL, and the MLB. So they're just kind of doing a scattershot tactic and kind of just see what sticks.
Yeah. My favorite story, like last month, was the lady at like the Free Palestine march, like calling for a boycott of Nike while wearing Nike Dunks.
She didn't know.
She didn't know.
Or no, she bought those before she realized that they were evil.
I'm sure that's her logic.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.